And we're back.
All right. So one of the things I've been thinking about lately is I think I'm going to... So I came into a little bit more money than I expected. Cash in hand money. I think I'm going to buy some high-grade Gundams.
Some Gunpla, hell yeah.
Some Gunpla, so that I can make the Dastard 2, how I saw it in my head.
Oh, man. You just opened up a can of worms in my head, so, like,
I thought that I might. That's why I saved it.
Do you ever have those moments
where I didn't text you my thoughts?
That shit where it's like, we had the same dream. So we're kind of having a similar moment here. Like, I had an epiphany. When did you have this thought?
Oh, like a couple days ago.
A couple days ago? Okay, so maybe it wasn't.
I literally saved it for this, to talk to you about.
It's not complete serendipity, but,
close enough, I bet.
I was thinking, I bought the Q-Belay Damned.
Uh-huh.
The Q-Belay Damned, I was looking up, like, okay, well, what is this from? Like how, because part of what drives it for me is, like, the immersion of the thing, right? Mm-hmm. I love the Q-Belay because I love the Q-Belay's place within the Gundam IP. Mm-hmm. Like, what the Q-Belay means, represents, design, the whole thing.
The entire tapestry.
The brand of Q-Belay is me. Like, it's not just like, oh, it's pretty, I like it. No, but for me, the thing has to be so much deeper and meaningful than that for me to actually have any lasting value in my life. And so the Q-Belay Damned, I'm sitting here like, okay, well, I really like to build this thing. I really want to appreciate this thing. And I could, like, it's only in a novel. It's like it's in, like, one of the Build Divers novels. Mm. So it's literally like a Build Divers custom version of the Q-Belay that one of the villain uses in one of the books. And, like, I'll probably read the novel at some point, maybe not. There's other Gundam...
If it's translated,
There's other Gundam shit I want to read first. Mm. There's bigger fish to fry there. But I had the thought, well, I could do that, or I could just make my own custom Q-Belay with that.
Yes.
And that has been rattling in my head horribly. I don't have any money, goddammit. I'm not going to... Goddammit.
There are lower quality Q-Belays than, like, a perfect grade or like a fucking master grade like you have.
I would have to use a master grade for the part sizes, because it's a master grade.
No, I'm saying rather than use the Q-Belay Damned to do that.
Oh, to do that. Oh.
You could buy a lower grade Q-Belay.
Yeah. I might have to. Yeah. Because the only... I cannot find the Q-Belay Papillon in master grade. I've only found high grades and they're expensive. And so I kind of like... I'm at a point where it's like, okay, well, do I get one while I still can? Or do I wait till they print more? Are they going to print more? I doubt they will. That's not a very popular one. No one cares about the Q-Belay but me.
Yeah.
Girls like the Q-Belay. And I would 100% say...
Q-Belay is considered one of the big villains of fucking...
Yeah, maybe I'm ignorant.
But it's sort of like...
fucking pretty, man.
It's sort of like if version 1 Cell is your favorite Dragon Ball Z villain.
Yeah, I buy that.
You're going to have a hard time finding, like, regular-ass Cell before he absorbs 17 or 18, like, as, like, a figure or something. But it exists. People know about him. If you bring up, like, oh, you remember Cell's first form? They're like, yeah, he was, like, all bug-like. People, yeah. I feel like Q-Belay probably occupies a similar, if not, like, a little bit better than that.
Yeah, one of Frieza's evolutions. I would say, like, stage 2 or 3 Frieza.
Yeah.
Where it's a very unique... villainous, good design, but it's in such a short blip of the actual Universal Century that it comes and goes like a bright star, like a nova, like a white star.
Exactly.
Neutron star, is that the actual scientific term? I'm trying to sound smart, but I'm dumb.
I don't...
The thing I'm talking about exists. I'm not using the words properly.
It comes and go like... came and went like a flash in the grand scheme of things, but it really made an impression on you.
Yes. The brightest fires burn the fastest. And that was the Q-Belay.
So one of the things I was going to recommend to you was to make what I called the quasi Q-Belay. I was trying to figure out how to make a pun of that, because there's what you can find really easily is a lot of high grade mechs of the things that came from the Q-Belay.
Yeah, like the Xianju. Yeah, because we did the whole lineage thing.
That
was a really
But
fun
also,
thing. Yeah.
specifically from the Q-Belay, like, aside from the direct line that leads into, like, Unicorn and beyond, there's, like, tangentially a bunch of things like the Jagdoga and everything like that that are very close to being the Q-Belay's design.
I would love to...
So what I'm saying is, you take a bunch of those things that are, like, the children of the Q-Belay, and you cobble them together into the Q-Belay 2.
No, I would love to make a bunch of, like, children of, like, basically, like, okay, the Q-Belay plus this, Q-Belay plus that. That'd be kind of fun.
Oh, that'd be sick.
And then I'm looking, because I have them on their little stands over there.
Yeah.
Listeners, I have a master grade Cublate on my shelf that's on one of the little display stands.
The clear ones?
Yeah, the clear ones. It's looking really nice. I look at them all the time. I love them. They're a constant reminder of why Gundam was awesome. But yeah, so looking at it over there, and I'm looking at the Jagdoga. I have a high grade on the gray stand sitting next to it. And I'm looking at it, and I see the Jagdoga has those like samurai shoulder. I forget what they're called, but they are very cool because traditionally those samurai armor would have these extending out shoulder plates. And I watched a video about this. Why did shields stop being utilized in Japanese warfare? Come to find out, well, that didn't happen at all. They used shields all the time. They were just a lot smarter about shields. Why am I going to strap a piece of giant metal to my arm that's cumbersome and dumb and heavy and exhausting? And most of us are kind of tiny over here. It's just not practical. So their shields were usually you dropped them a little like you put down a little barricade, and then you were an archer going up and down behind that, or a Ashigaru with a gun, and then shoulder pads. The extending out samurai style, like those like flat shoulders, those are just two shields. And I remember that first dawned on me in the anime and Golmios, which is about basically Ghost of Tsushima, the anime. It's about the Mongol invasion.
I thought it was like Anglemois or something.
Something like that.
Like it's pronounced some fucky way.
But they don't say it right in the fucking show. So
right,
like,
they're Japanese.
Yeah, I'm butchering the pronunciations. You know, sorry, chat. But yeah, they have one of the samurai. They're like fighting, and one of the enemies.
Sode. That's what those.
Sode.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sode.
Shoulder armor.
Yeah. So the one of the enemy archers like shoots him with an arrow, and he. You know, he's using a Japanese longsword, whatever the fuck. It's like one of the katana variants. And so he has it in both hands, like you're using it, right? And he has it down to his side, like he's ready to chop. And then he ducks down into the arrow so that the shoulder becomes a shield over his face. And it stops right in front of his face because he knew that was going to happen.
Sick.
And then, yeah, exactly, sick. And then the guy sees that, oh, that's a shield. Oh, I'm fucked. And then all the other guys next to him realize that. And then he's a samurai. Yeah, you are fucked, aren't you? And then he charges them and they die. And it's just crazy where it's like, you know, I once, one guy heard like, samurai are dumb because they'd rather get shot than have a shield. No, he has two shields on his shoulders. He's smarter than you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, crazy concept.
So yeah, I'm going to make the Dastard 2.
Oh yeah, sorry, before you keep going with that. Yeah. The point of me saying this is, the Jagdoga has Sode.
Yes.
The Jagdoga has Sode, and his funnels are attached to his Sode, and I would like to make a Cublate that instead of having the moth wings, somehow has like 4 Sode like the moth wings.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Yeah, I just had that epiphany with you bringing that up, looking at both of them next to each other. So that's probably going to be a project I'll work on eventually. Anyway, going back to the Dastard 2.
So, for those of you listening at home,
we should give some context on the Dastard, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Blaze.
So, there's an RPG called Lancer, and it's based off of a D&D like rule set, I believe.
Shadow of the Dark Lord. It's a D6 based system. Shadow of the Demon Lord.
That's what it is.
It's based on Shadow of the Demon Lord.
Anyway, so it's great. It's all about giant robots. Our friend Brody was running it through Foundry, which is a fantastic program for running tabletops.
BTT, excellent.
But we all got to basically design our own mechs for this, and I called mine the Dastard because I have a thing that my favorite kind of characters is the action bastard. You know, the guy who's sort of a scoundrel, but he's also a very adventurous, action-forward character. I love it. Charismatic. He's the guy who
swashbuckler.
Yeah, swashbuckler type character.
The bastard always gets the girl.
Yeah, but I don't want to call my mech the action bastard. So there's a book called The Dastard that I read when I was young. It takes place in Xanth. I'm sure you've heard of that, Mario.
Yeah, Rob bought me the first Xanth book to read.
Yeah, fantastic. Love that series.
Yeah,
super wacky.
Anyway, the title, specifically The Dastard, always stuck with me and I loved it. And so I named my mech the Dastard. Now, the reason that I'm saying that I'm going to make the Dastard 2 out of Gunpla and not just the Dastard is because our first mechs were all basically identical. They had like different loadouts of things, and like by our imaginations they all looked different, But technically speaking, we were all using the same model of mech that we put different weapons on, and that was the loadout for when you're like level 1. I think it's called the Everest in Lancer.
Yeah, I believe so. The Everest. Yes. Basically.
But once you get to like level 2, you basically get to pick like
get a license.
You get a license of a new frame.
The license system is a very elegant system for like class archetypes.
Yeah.
And I myself am designing a game around that system. I like it so much.
I really loved it.
Yeah.
And I made the Dastard, and the Dastard was a mid-range missile silo, basically. And then we had our first mission, and everyone lived except for the Dastard. The Dastard got thrown into lava and melted.
It was a very excellent campaign because...
it was spectacular. It was a lot of fun. That was very roleplay. Like, that was a very good, like, scene that, like, made sense for character to happen, that he got thrown into the volcano. And then from there, we reached level 2, or we didn't reach level 2 yet. Then I made the Dastard 2, and that was... No, I think the Dastard 3 is the one that I'm making then.
Yeah, that's where we actually got to Sasabi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Dastard 2 was literally the level 1 robot. I had to spend my share of like our spoils on buying a new robot, whereas everyone else got to spend their spoils on cocaine and like parties and shit.
Yeah, I want to give some frame. We're not doing Lancer justice, all right? Because this campaign has a very special place in my heart. So on Thursdays, we've been playing.
Keep going. I gotta go back.
Oh, he's okay. Yeah. So yeah, on Thursdays, Kevin and I and Mario have been playing with the same group of people for better part of a decade here, and we've been experimenting with various RPGs. We've tried Dark Heresy, we've tried Rogue Trader, we've tried Necrotica, which Necrotica was literally about being a zombie loli. It is a Japanese RPG where you are a zombie loli because you are actually slime mold. Slime mold took over the world, and the DM is a pervert. The DM is a pervert that's making little girl zombies to play with, and that is you. And that is where Roberta originally comes from. You'll be intimately introduced to the bird if you keep listening to this podcast. It's probably a problem. Anyway, we've been playing RPGs for a while now, and we had just finished playing, I believe... Oh man, what did we just finish? Kevin, what did we finished before we played Lancer? We had Burnout. Was it Warhammer? Because you were playing too, though.
No.
Was it Strahd? Had we just finished?
Played Strahd. Yeah.
We had just finished Curse of Strahd, which was also up until that point one of the best RPG experiences I've had.
Oh, spectacular!
And that's the thing. It was like, how do we top this? How do we top? Because also beating Strahd was anticlimactic, because we did all of the things. We had such a robust and fulfilling adventure throughout Brody's version of Barovia. By the time we got to Strahd, we beat his ass in one round.
Yeah.
We literally did everything right. We pushed Circle Time into the Ray of Sun and incinerated this stupid little vampire.
Killed him with a lightsaber, yeah.
Yeah. He didn't take it seriously, and it was his downfall. Anyway, point being, after, push circling, bullying Strahd into oblivion, and Roberta going off with the remaining of the party to go become the worst elsewhere.
Yeah.
We were like, okay, how do we top this campaign? Where do we go from here? And we were shooting shit about ideas. We're like, well, do we introduce Kevin to Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay? And we're like, maybe not.
And we also were talking about, like, oh, maybe something sci-fi related, but there's not really, like, a good sci-fi thing besides Warhammer.
There's a void, man. I don't care about Starfinder. Like, I'm sure it's fine. Because I also don't care about Pathfinder, and I'm sure it's fine.
And Cyberpunk is unfortunately completely fucking impenetrable.
I was looking at it for some reference to the thing I'm working on, and there are a few concepts I might use, but, like, I don't. It's a system that, like...
Do you have any toothpicks ready?
I think there are system nerds that love it because they love systems, but I like simple systems because I'm not a system nerd. So anyway, with our Thursday group, Michael brought up, hey, what about Lancer? And then I was like, oh, like neurons exploded in my brain. Lancer is the mech game that was on Kickstarter. That's live? And he was like, yeah, it's live. I think they have Comp coming up. I was like, okay, yeah. And then Brody was like, oh, I heard about CompCon. And then he was explaining, because he's a systems nerd.
He's an IT boy.
He's an IT boy. He was explaining what CompCon was, and how ambitious it was, and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada.
Spectacular. And much love to those people who made it.
Yeah, excellent system, excellent website. They're doing good work over there. We boot up the Lancer, and so our crew, the premise was, so he was like, okay, what do we want to do here, boys? And so we had just finished being a plucky team of adventurers saving Barovia from an evil vampire.
Heroes.
Yeah, which is funny because
really.
only two of us were good by the end of it. Roberto went full evil.
Yeah, sold her soul to a devil
to be hot and have a fat ass.
Yeah.
Terrible decisions being made on all ends. I think there's only two good characters left by the end of it.
It was me and
By the
Josh,
way, thank God you were good so you could go get that sword because no one else could walk in. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, I walked in 100% like, I'm awesome. I can walk in through here. Bop, what do you mean I can't walk in here? You're evil, Tony. What do you mean I'm evil?
You traded your soul to a devil for a fat ass.
What do you mean I did that? Yeah, dude, anyway. So yeah, we're trying to figure out what's
like right before we did that.
Yeah, right before. I literally, like, the guy goes in, makes a pact with the demon, and I'm like, can I do that too? And he's like, what? I don't see why not. And I cartwheel on over, like, there, and that's all she wrote. But yeah, with Lancer, our crew, we decide, okay, well, we just finished playing the heroes.
Let's be outlaws.
Let's just be space pirates. And Brody was like, oh, you guys want to be space pirates? Yeah. Isn't Lancer supposed to be like a bright universe? Yeah, let's go fuck shit up, man. We're the reason why there are problems. Okay.
Yeah.
Based.
If there are basically free 3D printed robots around every corner, then obviously some less than good people are going to get them.
Yeah, like it's interesting that, like, yeah, the setting of Lancer is supposed to be that, like, in this, like, you know, pretty bright future, like, you know, conflict is inevitable, but, like, you know, we're post-scarcity, so most people live pretty good lives on certain planets, and we can terraform, and yada, yada, yada. And then, but there are still space pirates, and most of the mechs and stuff are designed to protect people from the space pirates. So you get to go...
And Godzillas.
And you get to protect the good old space farmers farming their space corn from the space kaijus and space pirates.
Yeah.
So
that we never have to have a rebel moon.
So we never have to have a rebel moon. And instead, we are the space pirates. And my character was the ex-streamer, Anita Hawthorne, who was the self-proclaimed queen bitch of the universe. And
she got kicked off of Twitch for cyberbullying some teens to death.
Yeah, she went out of her way to cyberbully people to death.
Yeah.
And that's not a good look. So
that's bad.
So she got canceled. She got canceled hard. And rather than learn her lesson, like every evil bitch that does this shit like this, she doubled down and became a pirate. So here we are. The melee brand fighter had a spear and like a mini, like a little like.
What was your first mech's name?
Browbeater.
Browbeater.
Because my pog, the artwork I used was Nagatoro. And that was like, I just played the prettiest. My goal for Roberta was to be the prettiest bitch on the planet. And I was like, okay, well, I accomplished that. I had max charisma, the fattest ass. I drank a potion that shaved like 10 years off my life or something.
Yeah, younger.
Yeah, I literally became like barely legal to, it was bad. Fucking
glamour bard. So
yeah. It was OP.
Dangerously hot.
It was so OP. Glamour bard. The character, the whole immersion of Roberta was perfect. It was perfect. I'd play her again immediately.
And then Lancer,
I decided, okay, well, I played the prettiest bitch on the planet, so let's do the meanest bitch in the universe.
Yeah.
And that's Anita. So like, opening move, we're in a bar, and I bully him out of his pistol. I call the guy next to us. He's having a bad day. I ask Brody, okay, what's sitting around us? We're in the bar. Again, there's a guy next to you, and he's like grumbling about his space mining job. And I call him. I don't know. I just immediately start bullying this man. I forgot what I said. And we have an interaction. We do some
You
roles.
basically were like, I can't believe you're drinking by yourself. That's so pathetic. And he's like,
yeah.
I've had a hard day, and I don't need this. And she's like, you're a pussy. You should kill yourself.
Oh, fucking horrible.
And then as soon as
cathartic. I'm a good person. It's catharsis.
As soon as like Brody decided like, okay, he's getting tired of that. He's like ready to swing on you. Like the other guys in the group who are like, yeah, we're ready to bar fight. They swing on him, and then he pulls a gun, and they just immediately shoot his ass. And there's like a huge bar fight going around. And then my character, I fucked up making him because like your human, not just your robot, your human is supposed to have equipment too. And I didn't do that. So, and I was like, Brody, can I do that? He's like, you can do it next time, maybe. Like, you have to figure that out. And I'm like, shit. So instead of doing that, I was like, I'll get what I need. So this guy who's like bleeding out on the ground, I had my character like get up to him like, hey man, I've got a med kit right here. I can close that up for you. You just need to put down your firearm and I can treat you. And he's like, thank you. It's getting cold. And I'm like, that's no problem. And then I picked up his gun and I walked away because I wanted his gun.
Yeah. And then I said, later, loser. And that was it. And then we started our mission.
Yep.
And that's how the campaign of Lancer started.
And, and then I made the Dastard one. Everyone had an Everest that basically got different paint jobs. I had the Dastard one. Tony had Browbeater.
Mm-hmm. I had a giant lance, and it was kind of like
Barbados.
Like Barbados.
Yeah.
Like Barbados, because I mostly beat people with it. I didn't stab people. Beat the fuck out of them, man.
And then as we got further, in the first mission, Dastard 1 got melted by the first boss, and then I had to spend all my money on the Dastard 2, which was also an Everest. And then we fight some guys in space because we were, like, being blackmail... We were taking bribes to smuggle people off of a dying planet, and other pirates didn't care for that. They wanted to eat the people with nanites or some shit.
Yeah, some crazy shit.
So they attack us, and I'm talking mad shit because I'm confident Brody won't kill me twice. Which...
oh, he thought. He thought.
We learned a lesson that day.
A grim reminder that Brody is very impartial.
Because he melted the Dastard too, and I had to like hit emergency escape and get carried back into the spaceship like a baby. And then I had to spend all my money on the Dastard 3, but at this point we had finally gotten enough money that we could get unique mechs. We got to actually build our own mechs.
Once you get a level 2 license in a mech, you unlock that frame. When you use the first license will give you a system that is unique, that's supposed to be like based on that mech.
Yeah.
So it'll be like for
you can get a special gun or
the
a special.
The license I got for Anita was in the Hydra, and so basically I had my Everest and I had a lance and like I think a little gun on my arm, and then I got my first license I took in Hydra, and that gave me a nanite gun, so I could project basically a swarm of nanomachines that would disintegrate my foes, and so instead of having a gun on my hand, I had that attached. Lancer is a very cool game. You should play it. And then we got our level 2 licenses, and I got my second license in Hydra, and I got the Gang Stalker.
Yeah. Because so the Hydra actual frame of it is actually made out of like something like 10 drones that all like Valmorphinize and Voltron together into like one full robot, right?
Mm-hmm. It's it is. In the lore, at least, no 2 Hydras look identical because all of the Horus brand mechs are 3D printed, and they're down. You get your license through like an evil AI that's like a ghost in the machine.
An evil AI chooses you like the devil.
Yeah, it like chooses you. Like, and the quote of like the little homework quote is like, "The license is yours if you can keep it."
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
Who can say?
Who can say? And yeah, literally, like if you like go through like the files and stuff, it'll like have like a dossier explanation, and then in like staticky like shifting text, it'll be like Horus like commenting about like I planted this one in its sleep, like just commenting on like the dossier about like how it's like basically like a thought virus. Super cool shit. So the Hydra is like one of the Horus brand mechs, and it is supposed to be an amalgamation of drones. You don't know where the head or the pilot actually is supposed to be. And then you can detach 4 different drones from it. Right. So, like, usually you can only have 1 out, but it's like fucking protocol thing, the once per...
Right. Your special class feature of being in this mech.
Your fucking limit break
is
you can detach all of the drones at once. And so, literally, you are you and then 4 other drones hovering around. And then one of the systems you get once you get the second license in Hydra is you get a system that gives you 2 abilities, one of them being Puppet Master, which, chef's kiss of a name, dude. That's part of it for me is like if you can have a good naming scheme to like really add into the immersion of like the aesthetic you're trying to go with.
I'm really happy with the name Gang Stalker also.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah. Lancer was such a really good campaign because we had a lot of good themes and tropes going on there and it felt really good. And yeah, Gang Stalker being like a literal amalgamation of drones. To where, like, okay, well, Anita was a horrible, terrible cyberbully, and I beat you with a giant metal bat. Okay, well, that's not good enough. Where do we go from here, guys? How can I really, really bully people into submission? oh, I'm now 5 dudes. I'm making my own push circle.
Who are all harassing you. Yeah.
Yeah, all of them are calling you a all of them hate you. I am hate crimes you. Yeah. I am hate criming you on every possible avenue from all possible angles. Get fucked. Catharsis. Catharsis!
Anyway, so recently we've also gotten into Gunpla because we realize we're adults with adult money. Yep. And we can do whatever we want with it.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And I've recently gotten over, well, partially. I have like a problem with doing things that I specifically enjoy. I'm very supportive of other people doing things they enjoy. And then when it's like, Kevin, why don't you do a thing you enjoy? And I'd be like, don't be silly. I have to go do things I hate.
I have to raise my son.
Yeah, and I hate doing so many of the things I do. And I realize I can just do the things that I like also. Yeah. So I've been getting into Gunpla, and I'm going to make the Dastard 3 how I envisioned him, rather than just the Pog that I chose.
That'll be good. That'll be good. Are you gonna get like pistols?
Yeah. First I'm gonna see if there's like weapons packs you can buy for Gunpla. I feel like there are. Mm-hmm. I haven't done a lot of research about this yet. All I know is like 2 of the models that I intend to get to like craft together. And that is the Astray Red Frame and the Mercurius.
Mercurius.
It's from Gundam Wing, the red one, with the planetary shield.
Okay, yeah.
And that's because, so when I was very young, I was in a horrible bike accident that resulted in my entire face being scraped off of my head.
Yeah, tragic.
It was bad. And while I was in the hospital, our good friend Sean, because we were 8 at the time, and he was like, We gotta get him a Gunpla. His favorite color's red. Get him this Gundam. And it was a Mercurius, and I don't have it anymore. I have like 2 or 3 of the parts that are just like in various junk drawers and stuff. And like I have a strong attachment to that mobile suit, and also I think it looks pretty close to what I want, like part of the frame of the Dastard 3 to be. With the Astray and probably a few other pieces here and there.
I could definitely see Mercurius and Astray making something beautiful.
Yeah.
And another point in Gunpla's favor as a good hobby, a good healthy hobby, one thing that I really enjoy about being a wargamer, my personal experience in playing war games and collecting minis in particular, is getting minis for other people. I have always been a person that expresses love and affection through gift giving, even when it's like tiny little things,
right.
with no monetary value. That's just one of my love styles.
Yeah.
And so one thing that has given me a lot of intimate relationships with people is like, exchanging the minis. Like I saw this mini, I thought of you, I got it for you. And usually a lot of the times it'll blow people's fucking minds because it's a very thoughtful, like I didn't just get it because it's a random thing, like with Jesse, I got him Belladonna Volga, which is basically like the vampires got updated, and they have like, this whole werewolf faction, and they have this like old wolf mommy who's running a wolf, and like I kept joking and obsessing about like, even though the model is going to be on a base and you will not see the bottom of their feet, they gave the wolf toe beans. Jesse, look at her little toe beans. And I lost my mind about this, and that's just the thing we bonded over. And but the thing about Warhammer is like, Belladonna Volga was $40 fucking bucks. Like that's fucking steep, man. I'm on sales anymore. I can't be affording to just like throw that around willy nilly. But like a high grade Gunpla is anywhere between $12 to $20.
Yeah,
it is like a much easier ask for me to like absentmindedly think like, look at that. That's a high grade Astray. Kevin would love a high grade Astray, and they just pick that up. And then next time I see Kevin, hey man, here's a Gunpla. And then it's an exchanging of gifts. It furthers the hobby. It just builds an ecosystem and a community around a shared mutual interest. And to me, that's what hobby should be about.
Who's the other one?
I mean, you could argue that, like, you have to invest like a monetary fucking thing in here, and therefore it's like, bankrupt of like its own moral. But like, there's, I'm not going to go into that. That's a whole
other conversation.
That's a shitty argument. Yeah. But like, it's nice. I enjoy high grades. I enjoy. And also, you don't have to paint anything. You don't have to prime. Literally,
there's no glue. Really,
the base level to entry of Gunpla is so fucking low.
If you have a pair of scissors, you can build a Gundam.
Yeah, you should get clippers, but even like the clippers they sell, like any clippers will do. The ones they sell that are like the official ones, like I will swear by. Yeah. I will swear by shelling out money for a good pair of clippers.
Oh yeah.
Not all clippers are made the same. Do not buy clippers made of pure Chinesium. They're just going to fail you and fuck up your minis. You should shell out anywhere between $15 to like $30 for clippers.
Get a good hard steel for it.
You can probably find some good ones for $10. I don't know any brands.
I'm sure that there are some that are like a secret deal, but you don't want to rely on like, I hope this is a secret deal I found and not a way to ruin the robot I'm going to put together.
These like weird. I got the Citadel ones that are like the rubberish ones. This is like a few generations old. They don't sell this one anymore. But that's the thing though, is they still. I haven't had to sharpen them. I've never had to sharpen them. I've never had them had a bad cut. I've never had to deal with them.
You can tell it's real old because the spring is so weak.
Yeah, it's old and true. I should do maintenance on it even if that's how fucking old it is. But once again, I don't even feel the need to. It's yet to fail me. It's yet to do. And you know, I bought it on sale, and I remember buying it, and someone commenting showing like basically like saying GW products are all trash and they're overpriced, and they probably are. But,
they can be both.
Exactly, they can be both. But at the same time, like, even if it is overpriced, it's overpriced and quality.
Yeah.
So I'm going to buy something once and pay a premium for that instead of buying a shitty thing 5 times.
Yeah.
I know people who have bought 5 pairs of clippers because their clippers are shitty and they keep getting bad cuts. Or like the
crush marks.
And then you're spending the time I have to spend putting down my clippers and picking up fucking sandpaper or another knife or something else to fix the fuck up my tool made. Maybe get a better tool. Maybe buy a better tool. Anyway, I don't know. That was a pet peeve of mine. People talking shit about my clippers. Anyway.
Speaking of also painting and stuff.
Yeah.
So, especially because I intend to do custom work on this, where like I'm probably going to have to cut pieces apart to like actually make them fit together.
Yeah, definitely.
I am planning on like painting it. So, one of the things I'm trying to look into is like, what other high grades, it doesn't matter what color it is. I just need to think of like, think of it as bones, like pieces.
Detach from the color.
Yeah, because I'm an artsy guy. I haven't like painted miniatures before, and I'm sure this being my first like paint job of like a thing, I'm sure it'll be like not ideal. It won't, but like also good. That's a hobby thing I can get better at.
Yeah, it's one thing.
The first step of being good at something is pretty much sucking at it.
It is, and that's one thing that hobbies help with too, and one thing that I'm, I have to remind myself how like, you start like a base level of competence, and then you have to push that, and then whether or not you push too far or push far enough is, whether or not you're going to enjoy yourself. If you try to progress too quickly and don't know your limits, you're going to end up like breaking shit and costing yourself money, and then it's going to feel bad, and then it's a lot of times it ends up making the thing. It starts generating anxiety rather than anticipation. I view that those stem from the same thing, right?
It's the same excitement reaction.
Yeah, it's both excitement, but anticipation is you think a good thing is going to happen. Anxiety, you think a bad thing is going to happen. So, like, with hobbies, if you're pushing yourself too quickly or trying to do too many things at once and you start getting a whole bunch of bad outcomes, it's easy to get discouraged. And then your hobby it stops being something you're really anticipating and starts being something gives you anxiety, and then you stop doing it. So like it's important to know your limits. But like you said, you do want to. I believe you are an artsy person.
Yeah. And
I think that you could really do some shit. Like me personally, I do a lot of I did a lot of sculpting for a while with grain stuff.
Yeah.
And
I've seen some of the things you've sculpted and like put together with.
Suck. Yeah. And I didn't let it. I knew that the stuff I did wasn't good, but that was the point. It's the first thing I made. The next one will be better.
And like another big part of this is like I am starting with high grades, which are like between $10 and $20 generally. So I feel like because I have the dumb Puritan conditioning in my brain where it's like, well, I can't waste money.
Yeah.
I feel so much less bad about, like, I could set, like, a high grade on fire and not particularly feel bad about it because it's like, in Japan, they sell them at gas stations.
And it's funny you bring that up because, that was a hurdle for me in the Q-Blade Damned, is it's like...
It's so nice, right?
It's a limited run. Master grades, they don't make a lot of master grades again. And it's so nice and pretty that I don't want to taint this. I would love to have a Q-Blade and then another Q-Blade next to each other. That'd be great. So, but
and the Q-Blade Damned looks so cool.
It does. It has its swords come out of its wrists. Its swords come out of its wrists.
So sick.
But yeah, I would totally fucking make. I would love to splice the Papillon and a Jackdoga.
Yeah,
that would be really cool because it already has the show. What would we call them? The shogi. Sode. Yeah. It already kind of has that going on, so I could I could definitely. I might have to do some knife work, but I could see some going in my brain.
Oh yeah,
because it's like teal and pink. And the Jackdoga is like a dark teal, a dark greenish teal and gold. So I could probably work with a teal.
I've also been joining a bunch of Facebook groups and stuff that are specifically about Gunpla. So I've seen okay, here's the tools that you need if you're doing custom work. You need a little.
That's the best thing to do.
You need a scraper so that you can make your panel lines real thick.
Normalize hobbies.
So you can actually show these are where the plates are supposed to fit together on the real thing, and you should do panel lining, and then the polishing stone to really get everything clear off of there, and how to paint them and everything. And it's really gotten me in the headspace of fuck, I need to do this.
We should have Painted Visions this week.
We should.
My
local hobby store, Painted Visions, spectacular place. I'm sure full of spectacular people.
Oh man, I've been going to Painted Visions Commons since we fucking moved here in 97.
Painted Visions is in fact, I'm pretty sure, where Sean got the Mercurius for me, because that's where we got all of our guns.
I actually was over there. I was talking to Funk, and I was like, it's funny you guys have Gunpla again finally, because the first thing I got from this place when I was a snot-nosed little kid was Gunpla.
When I was a little homunculus.
Yeah, and then they stopped. I remember being devastated. They moved locations, and then when they moved locations, they had stopped carrying model kits. I had bought Mega Man models there, my next models there before.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I had bought a lot of.
I remember you had the Mega Man X models because you had all of the super armors.
Oh. My dumbass fucking broke all of them with a fucking dumbass.
Right, because we played with them because we were fucking little shitty kids.
Adult me could go back in time and did donkey punch me and take those, I would.
Oh no! You want to hear about a little kid who deserves to be killed by a fucking time traveler?
Let's hear it.
My dad had 30 unopened Star Wars action figures.
Oh no!
I opened half of them.
Oh! Blasphemer! Heresy!
Until I was older, I really didn't understand what I'd done wrong.
Sacrilege!
I literally, I was just open one up. Neat.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Open up the next one. Open up the next one. Even cooler. Throw that one in the pile too. Open up another one. And then I was caught, and I was like, "Look at all these action figures." And my dad was like, "Why don't you get out of here real fast?"
Oh man, your dad is a saint.
Oh
the
my
fact
goodness.
that you were still breathing and not sacrificed to a dark power is.
My dad is a dire nerd too. Yeah. I tell anybody who will listen to about this, and my mom will corroborate because she thinks that this is fully psychotic. This is a reason that my dad is not a human man. My dad can fall asleep in under a minute on command.
That's a very good skill for a soldier.
And the way that he does it is by playing the intro to Star Trek.
In his head?
In his head. He does that
It gives him such peace and serenity.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then he's gone. Just
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. Oh man, I love Trekkies. My uncle Juan is a Trekkie.
Yeah.
My dad
is such a Trekkie that other Trekkies probably don't like him very much because whatever Star Trek thing comes out, he watches it and loves it at a 100% capacity.
That's even though the movies
in his eyes they can't make bad Star Trek.
Hell yeah, he's a show. I love it.
Yeah.
A true loyal fan, man. Now there's a few things as much as I bitch and groan and gripe, I have and will continue to cuzzle Blizzard's come until the day I said I would not play Cataclysm, and here we are. 85 Fire Mage come Goblin, living it up. So
yep.
We'll see how long that lasts. Anyway.
Hilarious.
Until the cycle begins again.
The heroin, man. I'm an addict. It's bad, dude. I feel like every time I'm dude, I've blown out all of my veins. There's no possible way I can do heroin anymore. I'm going.
And then he finds out that, oh, there's veins between my toes. And then, oh, there's veins in my back. And there's veins in my thighs.
Dude,
and
it happened so quick this time. It was like the clown meme of the guy with the clown dressing up.
Yeah.
It was that, like, in real time. I'm bored. I'm have writer's block with my novel. I'm at 80,000 words. I talked to a few folks. Most of you deserve a break. You're allowed to fucking fuck around for a bit. I was like, okay. I boot up Fire Emblem again.
Uh-huh.
I beat the fucking Azure Lightning, whatever the fuck, Azure, the blue
the playthrough you wanted to do, yeah.
And I was like, well, that's done. And I did that in like 2 days. I like fucking stuck my dick in that.
I remember he
say,
stopped playing a different game that he wanted to play, and he was like, I'm just going to play Fire Emblem for a little while. That should keep me busy for like the rest of this month until I like go out of town for this other thing. And then that's when I'll play the game that I really want to play. And then within like, what, 3 days?
Dude, Dimitri is so cool! He's so cool!
He just tore through it.
Why didn't you just play your dating sim? Then no, you already did that. Okay.
Damn, yeah, I crushed the dating
so
sim.
fast.
I crushed it!
So fast, in fact, that between him being like, I'm actually getting a little fast, I need to slow down a little bit, and then like, the next time I saw him, which was maybe a day or two, he was like, so I started another playthrough because I defeated that one basically the moment you left last time.
And I had to pump the brakes. I already got to the Battle of the Eagle and Lion again.
Yeah.
I did it again. And I was like, well, and I know I'm not going to get, there's no Blood of the Eagle and Lion in the fucking Edelgard playthrough. So like that's what fucking took the wind out of my sails. Is because one of the things that like really, I don't know if this is a good look or a bad look or look at all.
Who cares?
But like one of the things that like really like gets like my heart fluttering and like fucking like operas and like dramas and shit is anytime you have characters that like cross on good terms, and then due to circumstances entirely unrelated to them, they now have to stab each other. I always enjoy that shit. It just reminds you of like how this shit goes down, like what you have to think about the enemy and how they're people too. But then, like, you have characters like Dimitri, who, like, has such a hate boner for Edelgard. Like, all he wants to do is run her through with his spear, that stupid, smug, smarmy cunt, fuck you. And, like, they encapsulate so well, because up to this point, he's on, like, a Batman revenge quest. Like, everyone thought he was dead, and, like, you as the main character are, like, trying to keep this insane man who's, like, literally fighting ghosts with a spear, like an insane lunatic with one eye. They took his fucking eye. They took his best friend.
But they couldn't take his hate.
They took his family. They took his best friend. They took his kingdom. But they couldn't take his hatred, goddammit. And then, yeah, you bring the gang back together, and the whole arc at this point is like, okay, we have to stabilize this deranged lunatic of a prince. He's not a prince, he's actually a king. That's the problem, guys. We have to destabilize this deranged lunatic of a king. Okay, well, what's he telling us to do? Oh, we're going on a death march into the Empire. Ah, fuck. Ah, beans.
We're all gonna die for vengeance.
Beans. Wait, guys, wait. The other faction, they're coming to help us? Fuck yeah. Oh, they're not here to help us. Ah, beans. Dimitri, maybe we should back off. We can't fight two enemies at once. And what does he say to that? Kill every last one of them! And then Battle of the Lion starts. Yeah. Oh my god. So good. So good!
So, that just reminded me, speaking of Batman, so Breakblade, the manga, just finished up.
Yeah.
And I remember you stopped reading that a long time ago because it kept going on hiatus.
Yeah, I read that when it was like first coming out. Yeah. And it was so avant-garde at the time. It was like a excellent mecha, and I was so sad it didn't take off.
And they finished translating and everything. It ended. And it's a decent ending.
Good, good. I'm glad.
It does end with Batman Ever After, though.
Ah!
So the main character, like, fakes his death / he might... He might actually be dead, or he faked his own death. It's unclear. But now there's, like, there's still war in the kingdoms. And then every once in a while, when a fight is looking like it's going to turn into like a slaughter of the local populace rather than just like an engagement of mechs, a mysterious crew of mecha pilots show up and they take care of business, and then everyone goes home. And they're like, so is that's totally the main character, right? And then like the person who like probably helped him fake his death, is like, I don't know, I have to go on vacation now for no reason to meet a guy. And they're like, so the guy's the main character, right? And she's like, I don't know.
Yeah. That's good. That's wholesome. I like that.
I think it had a pretty decent ending.
Reminds me of Chrono Crusade.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a bittersweet, like, happy ending in a weird way.
I mean, they made it clear in the very beginning of this manga that or series, I guess, because it also has an anime. They make it very clear that, like, it's not going to be a traditional happy ending. There are still things like political marriages that need to exist in, like, the world.
The day isn't saved, but, like, the shit isn't fucked anymore.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of happy endings,
hell yeah,
not being the way you think. Did you guys watch Overlord season 4?
No.
Was that the one with the...
Is that the
Demons Ever After?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I knew that was coming, and I love characters like that princess. I love that so much.
Oh, the latest one?
Yeah.
Okay. We watched that with you, yeah.
It was all according to plan, man. Kakashi, man. She was the longest con known to man, bro.
Which, I just wanted to ask you, like, when she has her, like, reverse Disney princess moment.
I loved it so much.
Because it's like that... Not in the book, like, she doesn't do that, but I was like, what is... I love this.
Yeah!
What the fuck? Like,
I'm glad that wasn't in the novel. See, that's...
She just burst into song, like...
Kudos Madhouse for making an evil Disney princess and choosing to do that as a adaptation of a manga or in a light novel. That is the point of shifting mediums, is when you're able to take that medium and expand the story without taking away from it.
You're not capable of doing in one medium that you are capable of another, and if you don't take advantage of that, then there's no point in the adaptation.
One reason I need to learn Japanese so I can read it is so I can read Fish Story, the novel, so I can figure out how the fuck do you make a rock and roll movie as a book.
Yeah.
How the fuck do they make, like... That movie is so good and so important to me.
And the song in it is so, like, integral to, like, how I feel about the movie and just seeing the movie. I can't imagine reading a book.
I can't imagine reading a rock and roll movie. That doesn't, how is that possible? So, but he did it, apparently.
Yeah.
Or maybe he didn't. That's the thing, maybe he didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like...
Maybe he didn't, and one guy saw the wind scar so hard
maybe it's
that
like
he made a great movie out of it.
Maybe it's like Cowboy Bebop, and the manga's actually terrible.
Yeah.
Like,
Cowboy Bebop looks so weird in the manga.
And same with Darker Than Black. It's interesting how that studio did a bang with that. They like the weird manga Cowboy Bebop. Let's make it better than that jazz. Okay, boom. Oh, one of the best anime ever made. Okay, let's this Darker Than Black. It's about pretty boy spy man with a mask, or let's make it about like Illuminati crime gang wars. One of my personal favorites, extremely underrated. No one fucking ever watches it, but it's hard to find. I think it's.
I'm also a fan of it because it has a great time travel element that they don't even like make clear.
Will never got the pay. We were so close to the payoff. Yeah, we lost interest. I gotta.
You've seen it, right?
Not all of it, no.
Yeah, that's who I was watching with Will. And we were almost at the scene.
I want to tell you,
we were almost
good.
So listeners, we do spoilers all the time on this podcast, and we don't care. Like, if you're listening, sorry, not sorry, but I will not spoil Darker Than Black.
Yeah,
you should watch Darker Than Black. One of the coolest,
and the OVAs
in the proper order. You should watch Darker Than Black OVA second season, and you'll like it a lot. Amber, I love Amber because Amber is a character that was designed to where now you have to watch the show twice.
Yeah,
don't you? So I love that. I love anytime you introduce a character who's like power is fourth wall breaking to where it's like they all but stare up at the screen and say, "Ha ha! I'm a smarmy little asshole, and I gotta watch this show twice." Mm-hmm. Like that, I love that. Anyway,
with a new understanding of what actually was going on.
Yeah, because now you know. Like, but you didn't know until you knew, and then you're like, ah! And the thing is, for me, that didn't happen until my third watch, even, because I watched it. I saw who Amber was. I was like, cool. And then I watched it again, and I was like, huh, okay, that's interesting. Now that I've seen this, I didn't know that's the first time. And then I think I was watching it with you or something.
It was when you were watching it with me because
I freeze framed that shit and was screaming.
You freeze framed that.
You love spoilers.
You freeze framed that and you were like, oh wait, and then like we worked together for a minute and then you were like, hold on, and I'm like, shit, what? Yeah. And then you were
Yeah. Sorry, we're being cagey here. Sorry that none of you have any idea what the fuck we're talking about. But you know what? If you want to know what the fuck we're talking about, just like the show, you'll have to listen to the podcast again after you watch Darker Than Black, and then you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you two will have a great time. Anyway, moving forward.
Well, my favorite memory of watching Darker Than Black with you guys was how everyone in that show has to comment on how Chinese he is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is fucking like watching
everyone in Japan is racist confirmed.
Watching it, that's like...
And it adds insult to injury because, like, everyone in his apartment complex is also, like, a foreigner. There's, like, an actual black guy in, like, a fucking jersey with, like, a fucking sweatband. And it's like, okay, so they're just in the foreign part of Japan, I guess. That's fine.
This is where all the expats live.
And then Hey is just an attractive man anime style. And then, every other person is like, he's clearly
You're Chinese.
Like,
it's anime. And then, especially, like,
fuck, man.
You know, we're white and in America, and so every time someone's like, I wouldn't know he's Chinese unless everyone just keeps fucking commenting on it. Like,
I know that there are certain anime shorthands, like something about blue eyes is related to China if it's like an Asian character that has them, and like certain hair colors are supposed to indicate certain different things.
Yeah, I know pink is supposed to be an exaggeration of yellow.
Yeah,
because it's how platinum hair, when it reflects white skin, sometimes has a pink hue. And so all of the hair colors that are like color like that are just exaggerations of real phenomena.
Yeah.
Like blue hair is just a blue sheen on black hair.
Yeah. They're not ethnically Marge Simpsons.
Yeah. And then also that's a part of it too, is the techniques to actually put characters on paper with ink. Blue used to be, they used that instead of black because black would run over whatever the fuck.
Yeah, it would.
That's why Mark has blue hair.
Yeah. And then you get certain characters like Goku, who learns how to go Super Saiyan and it turns his hair blonde because it gets pretty fucking annoying to ink in black hair all the time.
Akira Toriyama could not be bothered.
No way, that's real!
Yes.
Well,
wow.
And it doubled as a bonus of... It was a clear indication that a change had taken place.
Yeah.
And that Goku was now stronger.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Because originally Super Saiyan was supposed to just be like his hair sticking up in that like iconic like appearance, and he'd shown that previously where it does it for like a second when he's Kaioken and stuff, and then the final design change was literally because like, you know what I'm fucking tired of? All this inking. Let's just it turns his hair golden. It's magic now.
Master of cutting corners.
I love
Akira Toriyama.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's genuinely why, like, also, like, Super Saiyan 3 only appears twice, despite the fact that, like, at the time, it's, like, both the strongest thing Goku can do and a total option 100% of the time, and he only does it twice because, well, that's a very hard thing to draw, isn't it? It's pretty fucking annoying.
Reminds me of the music they play in Spaceballs as Jizz.
Yeah. In fucking Star Wars.
Jizz Whalers.
Yeah, Jizz Whalers. Just wailing that jizz, man.
It's just funny, too, because Akira has been doing that his whole career. And, like, it's either the first or second World Tournament, and when Goku's still a kid, there's those, like, Chinese-style, like, dragon dog statues that are like around it, and then he just got tired of drawing them over and over, so at one point Goku just gets knocked into them and they break. So now it's just rubble. Like, I don't have to draw that anymore.
That's funny.
I love how like so many of the fights just devolve into desert because like it'd be really annoying to draw a city around them.
Yeah. Just reuse the wasteland, man.
Yep.
Opening move, establish wasteland.
I think...
Yeah, let's fly to a more open space.
Yup.
Yeah.
Opening move, establish wasteland.
I thought that I'd have to recommend that. Thank you, Goku. Let's fly to a different place.
No,
You're a pretty reasonable man.
Speaking of, like, establishing fields of battle, it's kind of like shot to my brain. I have a concept planned for Kael'dun. So I've been thinking about, like, okay, so I'm eventually going to have to flesh out the Scryer, the eight ruling wizards. And one I am intimately excited for. So within 5th edition's Dungeons & Dragons, to those of you acquainted with the system, wizards can pick a school of magic to specialize in as their subclass. And a lot of them, they're not made equal, right?
No.
A lot of them seem good and seem powerful, but then you look at the other ones and you're like, well, shit, huh. Namely...
We're looking at you, Illusion.
Illusion is one of them, but the big one is Abjurationist. I mean, Lilac's an Abjurationist for a reason. Rob has only ever played an Abjurationist for a reason. I think Malls might be... Malls is an Evoker because she's Malls.
Malls was an Evoker until, like, I let Rob, like, get the curse that activated her brain, and she was no longer able to, like, be high all the time, and she respect.
Yeah, that's what happened.
And if you want to be a necromancer, just go fuck yourself.
And I'm pretty sure the Illusionists, can you elaborate on what they did to your baby while I fact check some stuff?
Necromancy always gets shafted. It's
of course, it's
really
the bad guy one.
Never been that great, but in 5th edition they really fucked you over because they changed how Anime Dead works, which is zombies are basically no longer permanent, and they'll just go away. And there's also like a hard limit to the things you can raise now. You can't make things out of large size or bigger corpses now, that's the only thing you wanted in 3.5 is you want big zombies or big skeletons. Skeletons in 3.5 were objectively better. So like anything you can raise in 5th ed is just shit, basically. So it's like they're good for like a one hit meat shield. That's like about it. I'm sure there's ways you can like kind of make it work, but you know, why are you gonna go through all that work? Could you just make an Abjurationist?
You can be a worse Abjurationist with a grosser method of doing things, or you can make an Abjurationist.
Yeah. You can't really make necromancy good. I don't know what they just hate necromancy for some reason.
I think it's because like they cracked down heavily on like stat sheet variances where it's like, so even like in the new edition thing that they're trying to do, D&D 1, whatever, like druids don't even get different animal forms. That's only flavor. They get land animal, flying animal, water animal, and those are the 3 stat blocks you have. And they scale with your level.
Yeah,
but
I hate that change. It defeats the purpose of D&D.
There's no reason to turn into a bear over a cat.
You run the risk of entering the waters of why I didn't like 4th. Anytime you're trying to pander to like oversimplified systems for the sake of game balance, rather than rewarding creative styles of play, to me the point of D&D is to like have the wizard know that he can do shape earth to like make a little hole in the ground to like hide under so they don't get crushed by the ceiling going down.
So speaking of creative methods of play, and druids, ironically, one of my favorite things that we've had happen in one of Brody's campaign, we needed to cross a river, and
hardest thing I've ever done.
We set up a we're not going to get into all of that right now because goddamn that shit almost killed us.
If you are a fledgling DM and you want to switch up an encounter for mortal danger, have your players cross a river.
It is harder than you might think.
Like, and think about the actual, like, you know,
the logistics of how they go about it.
Rushing river with a bunch of people with 8 strength. Yeah. And you tell me how you're going to get across that raging river. Anyway. Yeah.
But we eventually basically set a rope crossing the river, but it's just a rope. It will fall if, like, a huge dude's trying to, like, drag himself across the river. So we were arguing about how to cross. And middle, we were talking to the druid, and we had him wild shape, and he was like, oh, I should turn into like a monkey or something, because they have a climb speed. And at this point, we had fucked up crossing the river like 3 times.
Yeah, we already had 3 people falling.
Everyone fell into the river, and then had to get rescued, and it was a whole thing. And so I pleaded with them. I consider this very creative, where I said, don't you dare turn into a monkey, because you will still need to make dex checks to hold your little monkey paws on there. Turn into a snake, because the way a snake moves across a vine or anything is it corkscrews around it. And if there's a length of snake always corkscrewed around the rope, you cannot possibly fall.
Yep.
That'll
do it.
I felt very smart thinking. Like, that is a fact. For a snake to fall, it is always either on purpose or like there's something health-wise wrong with the snake.
That's part of the benefits of its chosen form of locomotion is stability.
Yeah.
If it can move on something, it has good footing because it doesn't have any fucking feet.
Yeah. And I think about that to this day. Like, I'm a smart fella.
Yeah, it was good. It was the character I was playing for that campaign was a Herringon warlock named Prince Langley, and as you know, they're a charisma-based class, and in this setting we're using like a set of like addendums to the rules. So there's a lot of stuff. So like
some house rules.
Warlock is a very problematic class in 5th edition. There's a lot of potential there, but like it suffers from being a half-caster with no actual true benefit of being the other half of a half-caster. Mm-hmm. You're just kind of a cucked caster. So we have some house rules and some things we're working with. And I personally don't think they did Hexblade properly. And so in this campaign, we're using a modified version where if you take Blade Pact, instead of Hexblade, there is Pact of the Dark Lord, which is based off of Barovia and the, what is it called? The Ravenloft campaign setting. Yeah. So basically your patron would be like a Dark Lord, like it's a very nefarious being. And so all the Hexblade stuff is folded into that, but all the actual weapon, charisma-based strike stuff, Brody folded into Blade Pact. So Prince Langley is a Death Warlock who has Pact of the Blade. So I'm able to do the sort of like Dark Knight, melee fighter thing, while still benefiting from charisma on striking. Now, I really enjoyed this. Being a Death Warlock, my backstory...
Oh yeah, you were pretty fucking potent.
Yeah, my backstory was that he's like the prince of this line of beastkin that live on this island. In this setting, all the beasts can live on this island called the Isles of Kodrum. It's ruled by a dragon, and he just flies around and ruins their days because it's funny. And so all these beastmen are constantly warring and killing each other, and these little rabbit men are hopeless and defenseless, and they made a pact with the Draco Lich, and they made a keep out of his remains, and Langley is their prince. And he has left to go bring wealth and riches back to his keep, and he took with him 3 retainers. Yeah. And so being a Death Warlock, Langley has a very weak complexion, and so his dump stat I picked as Strength. So Langley has 8 Strength. Yeah. -1 to his checks. So while he is wielding a giant greatsword and being a cool Dark Knight, he's wielding his greatsword with the power of hatred and darkness with his 18 charisma. And when you're trying to lift your body across a rope over a fucking rapid river with 8 strength and you're literally a skeleton boy, it doesn't go too well.
Yeah,
guys.
it was
doesn't go well at all.
It was nearly fatal.
Luckily, I play a space hippo man.
Yeah, the GIF, right?
Swim.
Good old Dick Dixon.
Literally, if we did not have
like 3 people out of the fucking river.
Yeah, if we didn't have somebody who was like, oh, that'd be a fun character to make, like a hippo from space. If we didn't have somebody doing that, half of our party dead to the river.
Yeah, if we didn't have a gag bit character, this guy is Man out of Bees brand character. 3 of us gone. Yeah. Whisked away with the river.
Yep.
I can only save 1 person at a time because I too have 8 strength.
Yeah.
He's a very hefty hippo man.
The dump stat man has to be 1, man.
I think my strength might be 8 as well. So I play a character who's a dwarven chef who he got kicked out of his clan for, quote, misappropriation of resources, because I thought it'd be funny if he made a set of cooking equipment out of adamantium, so it'd be unbreakable, perfectly sharp. It could get hot enough to like even sear the finest of dragon steaks. But like, once you make adamantium into something, that's what it is.
Impossible to make it into anything else.
You can't make it into anything else, and it's real valuable. There's only a finite amount of adamantium. What the hell's wrong with you? And so he got kicked out of his clan with his adamantine frying pan. And I'm a rogue, so I genuinely will sneak up behind dudes and sneak attack them with a frying pan, and there's just like a loud gong, and then I am out. I am no longer hidden at all.
It's
or you kill an innocent man.
Yeah, it's especially lethal.
Oh my god.
It's especially lethal.
It is an especially lethal. So, by the way, the frying pan has the same stats as like a longsword. It just does bludgeoning damage. Or, no, a short sword. It's a short sword.
It's a D6.
It's a D6. And we had one guy, like one civilian in a town that got like razed to the ground by bandits, essentially. And he was the only survivor, and he knows that the bandits kidnapped a bunch of people, basically. And we help him out, like, the rubble and heal him up a little bit, and he's like, I'm coming with you. And we're all like, no, actually, you'll get in the way more than anything. And he's like, I won't be deterred. And so I, thinking that I could do, like, a funny bit, I snuck up behind him and I whacked him over the head to knock him out. And I got a critical hit. And unfortunately, there is a rule in Dungeons & Dragons that even if you mean to do non-lethal damage, if you do too much damage, it's still lethal.
And he did max damage on both dice.
On both dice, I rolled as high as I possibly could have.
Clocked this motherfucker for like 13
I smashed his head into red paste because he had 1 health because he's a fucking commoner.
Yup.
And
from that point onward, he was Morgani the Death Dealer to Prince Langley.
Yep.
The Death Warlock. That's cold-blooded, man. It's cold-blooded what you did to that guy.
I didn't mean to.
Morgani, I didn't realize you were so hardcore.
And then in another showing of his mercilessness, our DM let a trap that was like a falling ceiling trap. He let it cut off both of my fucking legs.
Yeah, so our adventures had led us into
an abandoned dwarven
like, not Ironforge.
Yeah,
it was not Ironforge from Warcraft. He literally drew like basically the map of Ironforge, but like scaled. It was really it was cool and interesting, and I loved it.
Oh, it was great.
It was an excellent idea, and I'm gonna probably copy that. I'm gonna probably use maps and modify them like that again.
That's nice. So the dungeon that you guys are going to right now in the campaign that I'm running, I literally did the same thing.
It's when you realize that a lot of cities are made the same way. Like the Alexander the Great thing of like designing that one city based on a body or whatever.
Yeah.
That's real, and like they still do that. So we go to what was we call it, the Copper
Halls.
Yeah, the Copper Halls, and we get in there, and there's a whole bunch of clan specific like
their
halls.
keeps where they kept all their best shit.
Yeah,
and like all their trophies and stuff.
And in this setting specifically, it's post Calamity. The elves used to run shit. They were a magically advanced empire. And they blew themselves up somehow, and we're trying to figure out how that happened, or what happened there.
Yeah. Or at the very least, pilfer all their cool radioactive shit.
And the dwarves, as is tradition, and most fantasy folklore, have a extremely deep gripe with elves, and have made nebulous and plethora of deadly, horrible traps, with the explicit reason to keep out those goddamn elves.
Yeah.
All of the traps are like listed as like elves be gone. Like it's all explicitly listed.
That's the pit trap full of anti-elf spikes.
Yeah, and one of them, flattened Morgani's fucking legs.
Yep.
And,
ceiling fell. I was able to get out barely.
And it's extremely ironic that a dwarf's legs were flattened by a trap meant to keep out the smelly elves.
Yep.
That's how it goes, man. That's a lesson to be learned, if anything.
But it's all right. We got an artificer to make me some new robot legs.
Hell yeah.
I'm sure at some point I'll be able to convince Brody into letting me add like some cool gimmick to them. But for now, what they really need to do is carry my dumb dwarf ass from room to room. Yeah. Which is, that's key in leg work.
He was playing an artificer as a filler character so Prince Langley brought with him, being a noble in background, brought with him from the Isles of Kodrum 3 retainers who were named after my party from Chrono Cross of Sergei, Ayanus, and Ina. And they are commoners, and it's explicitly stated in the background that they are commoners and that they will not fight, they will not do anything dangerous, but they're at my beck and call. So we had a little thing going on there. And during our downtime, I actually worked with Brody, and I was like, hey, I want my retainers to learn skills while they're doing my bidding in this town.
While my main character is out going to do the actual adventure, they can learn.
Prince Langley is going to show his legend, and his retainers can make themselves useful. So, I had Yanis work with Morgani as a sous chef. Because he started a business. He started a little cart
I have a little food cart that in our downtime I run, and then also like a soup kitchen thing for all the refugees that I feel indebted to because I murdered one of them.
Yeah, being a lawful evil warlock, Langley's first goal was like, well, I gotta do good PR. I gotta make sure people know that I'm not a lawful evil warlock, so we're gonna run a soup kitchen. Yeah, let's go run a soup kitchen.
Yeah.
The bunnies are cool. Don't hate the bunnies. The bunnies are cool. Look, we have a soup kitchen.
And now
I'm not evil. You're evil.
Now that Morgani is sans legs, he needs a lot of extra help.
Yeah, so Yanis was carting him around in a wheelchair, and while he was recovering, Kevin had to play another character, an artificer, and we had, like, so off screen, we had my retainer Yanis carting around Morgani, and then I had her tasked with learning to become a chef. She was his sous chef, and yeah, we were doing that. It was a whole thing, and it was cute, you know, and then my retainers were basically pampering and taking care of our wounded friend, while the rest of us kept adventuring.
And also she was acting as a bouncer, because without any fucking legs, he wasn't going to chase off any rough customers.
Yeah, this is kind of hardcore. As we will soon get to.
Yeah.
As we will soon get to. So as we're adventuring in this fucking abandoned dwarf city, we encountered Drow outside, and there was a whole political intrigue thing that Brody had set up for my character, because Langley's objective in leaving the Isles of Kodrum was to establish wealth, power, and allies.
Foreign allies.
He's a prince. He's trying to make an empire, trying to make a kingdom. Like, I need to grow. And so there were some Drow we encountered, and we encountered that there was a Drow civil war. Basically, there were the matriarchal regular evil Drow, and then there were a bunch of incel deaths of the matriarchy, also evil Drow.
Some men's rights activists.
But they were so much more reasonable and like
they actually were, because Drow are just so evil that even being like an MRA style of guy actually levels you up out of like their level of evil.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
I flayed him for not pleasing me properly. Like, oh, he did a bad job? No, he did a really good job. But I didn't want a really good job. I wanted a pretty okay job. So I flayed him.
Yeah, some dumb BDSM.
Drow's fucked up.
Drow society sucks. So yes, you should abolish that. Anyway, so we were doing some politics there, and that ended up kind of fizzling out. We resolved it, you know.
We resolved it, but it didn't resolve the way that we perhaps thought, because there were other things in the Copper Halls.
Yeah, because it's one of those things you'll be showing on charts and encounters and yada yada yada, and we're using a lot of custom rules, and we have an especially large party. Our party, sometimes our players drop off. We have
generally between 5 and 10 players.
Yes,
closer to 5 generally, but as many as 10 players at any given time.
And because we're all seasons, we've been playing the same group for fucking years. He has no qualms throwing like crazy ass shit at us. Like, what was the four bullets, was it? No. What was it?
Basilisks.
The basilisks, yeah.
Because 2 of us got petrified, and we had to...
Yeah.
We literally had to go walk our asses back to town when we were right outside the entrance of the dungeon. We had to, like, walk for a week back to town because half of our party is made of stone right now.
Yeah, and I was shucks. Like, I guess
we don't get to do this dungeon yet.
Yeah, we gotta go back. And so we're adventuring and yada yada yada, and one of the tables he rolled on as we got to the center of the goddamn Ironforge, not Ironforge Town. Mm-hmm. It's just a goddamn Baylor hanging out. There's a Baylor munching on another demon, flying around. A wild Balrog appears.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, that's a whole ass Balrog. I'm level 6, barely. Maybe we should fuck off, boys. And it ended up becoming, we were talking after the game, between sessions, that like, yeah, he won. That was not planned.
Right.
He rolled that. And then 2, well, this is now the thing you're doing.
Right.
This is now what this is about. So the Copper Halls, that was supposed to be like the prologue.
Yeah.
That wasn't supposed to be.
So genuinely,
anything that we built up to.
We spent like 2 months in this, in just the beginning part of his game before we got to what he considered the start of the game. We were just like, oh, you built like a whole city? We better explore every nook and cranny. And he's like, Can we do the quest? And we're like, no, we need to go into the wine cellar underneath this fucking guy's house.
Run the fucking jewels. One of the first things I did was have my retainers buy a cart, and I told them you will defend this cart with your meager lives. And I Sergei's learning how to use the crossbow to defend the cart. And guess what's on the cart? All of our goddamn spoils. All of our spoils. We have so many spoils.
We're drowning in spoils. Hence my new legs.
Yeah, sexy artificial robot legs. But yeah, so this Baylor's a fucking problem. We end up going back to we sending Were you sending them to tell them there's a Baylor?
Oh, we straight up go home.
We do? And then we tip them off?
Yeah, because my legs get cut off.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what, because we fuck off. And then when we go back, we almost, like, passively bring it up. Like, oh, yeah, by the way, there's just a Baylor in the abandoned copper halls. Crazy, right? And everyone in the town is like, ah! Like,
a pretty reasonable reaction once, you know, you put it into perspective of, like, what do you mean? There's a Baylor over there. You know, there's a Baylor. And they're like, you know how fast Baylors can fly? Well, no, not really. It can be here in a matter of hours at any time if it chooses. And we're like, oh, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
And they're like, a Baylor's a CR-19. This is a town.
Crazy.
Towns aren't populated by level, like, 20, like, fighters and stuff. They're populated by Derek, whose only, like, capability in combat has been throwing his broom at things. We gotta put together, like, a strike force.
Yeah, so they end up, like, bringing in priests, and, like, they have a militia going, and they have, like, They
basically muster an army.
They muster the militia, they muster the army. Yeah. They have all these, like, they have basically these spell breakers from, like, this god called Amigala, that's, like, an anti-magic god. There's this whole, like, arc going with. One of our players, one of their followers. And so, yeah, they muster this whole army, and they're, like, they are offering to resurrect you if you die. Because, like, you know, the Turkish are backing this, so they have the diamonds, the resources. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, so we go back into the copper halls, we go ahead of the strike force, they're building an army. And we go
ostensibly under the mission of
we're the recon force.
We're gonna recon.
Yeah, I remember Langley walks up as they're mustering. I'm like, I've seen the Baylor, and everyone's like silent and looks at me, and they're like, and it's silent. They're waiting for her to say something else, and I'm like, shit, what else do I say? Fuck.
I was mostly bragging.
Yeah, I'm a big deal. I am a big deal. I am 4 feet tall. I have a great sword. I'm a rabbit. I have 3 retainers, and I am a big deal.
And I'm in the back, just with no fucking legs, making all the no legs jokes that you can very angrily.
I'm just grumbling.
Yeah.
Grumbling as Yanis carts you away.
There was one thing where a person was talking about, like, oh, I almost got my hand cut off, and I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, I can't imagine what it would be like to almost lose a limb like that. That must have been so scary, to almost lose something like that.
Fuck. Yeah, so we head back to the Copper Halls to finish our mission. We encounter a fucking aboleth.
Yeah, just chilling.
He's just, cause, yeah. Alright, viewers, or listeners, my lovely, lovely followers. There is a reoccurring meme. This has been going on since Strahd, in fact. Since Curse of Strahd, trying to cross. Something about crossing bridges, really.
Brody loves that.
Brings out beautiful moments in D&D. Something about crossing one side to the other will make things happen that will never change and will stick with you the rest of your life. And my friends, none of my Harengon have ever been able to successfully do the Griddy.
Yep.
Not once. Not even once. And the whole point of me even doing, or trying to do the Griddy, not doing it, attempting it, that is the most bunny-like dance I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And Ewan, bless his Belgian heart, if you're listening to this, I love you to death. His character, Johnny Depp, who was he was a halfling version of Johnny Depp from Jack Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
His backstory
was literally, what if a halfling named Johnny Depp lived through the 3 Pirates of the Caribbean films and then just decided to come to Barovia to do the Curse of Strahd area.
It is so good! It was so good! So Johnny Depp, Ewan being Ewan, a beautiful man, we're just fucking, just shooting shit, traveling, doing fucking, literally traveling between fucking adventures. And we're at this bridge, and we're going across. He's like, you know what, man? I do the Griddy across the bridge.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck?
The Griddy was a relevant meme at the time.
Yeah, and I was like, what the fuck's the Griddy? And he posts the GIF on Discord of Goku doing the Griddy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's a bunny dance. I'm Roberta. I can do the Griddy. I have 22 charisma.
Yeah.
And then I do perform. My whole bit was performing. I would perform for every stupid reason.
It's a glamour bard.
I'm a glamour
Performance is the thing that he can roll the highest on at all.
Yeah, literally my background was actor, dancer. My job, I Roberta.
The probability of failing the Griddy is astronomical.
It literally shouldn't be possible. Crit fail. I fall on my ass. I break my own ankles. I fail. And you know, Brody is a very good DM. He's not going to let me try twice. It's not how that works. No, you fucked up. You live with it until it becomes relevant.
Yeah, now you're embarrassed.
Now you're embarrassed. And yeah, so I couldn't do the Griddy. And every other time I have tried the Griddy since then, I have failed. I have failed either horribly with like actual consequences or just failed. Like just wasn't impressive, like tripped a little bit, got a sub 10 roll every single time. And once again, it came up, guys. It came up. We were in front of this big pit of goo.
Yep.
We were traveling in the copper halls. There was a big old pit of goo. It looked gross. I stuck my sword in it. It sloshed around. We said, ew. I forgot exactly what happened. Why did I do the Griddy? Do you remember? Do you remember what exactly it was? There was something had happened. There was a meme of sorts. And like, I
wasn't there for that one, I don't think. We had murdered all the troglodytes.
Yeah, we had just killed a whole bunch of troglodytes. We found this pit of goo, and like the meme came up, and I was like, you know what, man? Langley's doing it. He hasn't done it yet. This is it. I'm feeling it. We're gonna break the curse. And we were all gassing it up. He's gonna break the curse. This is it. Prince Langley, 18 charisma. Not as much as Roberto, but he can
He's still pretty good.
He can do it. I roll crit fail, slip on slime, fall in the pit. Uh-oh. Well, I guess I'm dead. Fuck. Sink to the bottom of this fucking
Sink to the bottom to see an aboleth.
There's just an aboleth hanging out down there.
And it's like, hi.
I'm like, hi.
And it's like, you need help? You good?
And I'm like, yeah, can you get me out of here?
You did. He put him right back.
With this gross-ass, horrible, mind-controlling tentacle. Oh, no, and then I had the slime on me, so I couldn't breathe anymore.
Yeah.
I couldn't breathe anymore. I had the slime on me.
Yeah, you got slime.
I forgot about that. Fuck.
Slickety slime.
You didn't need to breathe at that point.
That's why it was okay.
That's why it didn't matter.
That's why it didn't matter. Yes, because I'm a death warlock.
And then he was going to keep it on him, and then the aboleth, because it actually talked to Zoro, I think. We basically thought about it for a minute because he didn't like take the slime off. He's like, I don't even need to breathe. And then it basically was said like, by the way, if you leave that slime on you, you're going to turn into like a troglodyte.
Yuan's character, by the way, he just mentioned Zoro, is just literally Zoro
from One Piece.
Whose backstory was he had the entire arc of Zoro from One Piece before coming to here.
Literally, he fell into a time portal because Zoro gets lost. By the way, twice now we've had to be like, okay, one person needs to go by themselves on something, and then we have thought, well, he's a fighter, he's got pretty good dex, he can roll sneak really well and like still take care of himself, and so we've sent him out. Twice we have done this, and Brody is well aware of One Piece, and he knows Zoro gets lost when you leave him by himself.
And it's great because I haven't seen One Piece. So I'm usually the guy making plans and stuff, and Langley's the face. He's like the thinker of the group. So I'm like ordering people around, being bossy, whatever. And yeah, I am constantly sending Zoro off to like, you're the other tank. Of course you're the one who's going to go away. I can't leave the party. I'm like the mage tank, basically. And yeah, I sent him to go get lost and go on zany adventures because I didn't know. I forget every fucking time.
We all forget until like
because none of you correct me.
Yeah.
None of you correct me.
We all forget until like fully a round has passed, and we know like at this point it's become clear Brody is no takesies backsies, and then we're like, oh fuck, we just sent Zoro out of my shot. He's gone forever.
And then he goes finds a bunch of drow.
Yeah.
It was funny the last time is because someone had to go see where the
Baylor was because we lied about going for recon. We just wanted to plunder.
Yuan's like, sure, I'll go, whatever. And then he's like leaving. He's like, oh wait, no, fuck,
I'm Zoro.
Yeah, it's like me. Yeah,
don't let me go. Think of a reason to stop me. And we're like, shit, you're already gone, man. Brody's a no takesies backsies style.
We committed. That was good.
And he got his ass lost.
Yeah, and then
the aboleth helped him out, like helped him leave.
Yeah, and
the troglodyte child.
It was an aboleth minion, though.
Guided him out. You know,
yeah,
and they bonded.
Took him by the hand.
The aboleth traded Zoro's eye. So basically, Zoro gave him the aboleth's eye so that the aboleth could see all of One Piece.
Yeah,
pretty good show. He said, he enjoyed it.
Yeah,
pretty long, but he enjoyed it. And in return, now Zoro has dark vision in that eye. Pretty cool move.
So now he has one eye, like in the anime.
Yeah. So then we end up getting our plunder. We end up finding a secret little cavern that we're gonna make into our secret little clubhouse. No girls allowed.
Yeah.
and we're about to go. Like the army is mustering outside. They're basically like pleading, like, guys, where is the Balor? And Elena keeps saying, yeah, we haven't seen him yet. Don't worry about it. Not yet.
We're still working on it. We're
working on it. We're having a bot. We're fighting like a mechanical centipede.
Yeah.
Door. The door to the secret super vault, no girls allowed, was a mechanical centipede we had to beat up, and then they turned it back into the door. It was really fucking
It was
cool.
pretty sick, yeah.
It was really sick. No girls allowed. And, beards only. Yeah, so after we did that, we ended up, like, basically joining the rest of the guys outside, and then the Balor came out, boss music started, and
it was a whole session that was just a war.
And they had a whole bunch of Scorpion ballistas set up, and they had like multiple formations. It was a whole bunch of like basically Warcraft spellbreakers, a bunch of peasants with pitchforks, and one thing that I thought was rather innocuous. It was kind of annoying. We encountered it once or twice, and it kept coming up, and we kept avoiding them because we're competent players. But the thing is, chat, sometimes when you're so used to avoiding mortal danger, you kind of forget how mortal it is. You really take for granted why you're avoiding it. Yeah. Because there's a bunch of invisible demon gorillas stomping around.
Barlguras.
The Barlgura is some sort of fiend, a demon fiend. So the chaotic evil ones, the ones that can't be reasoned with.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with devils who can be reasoned with. No, Barlgura are evil demon, and they're invisible evil demon monkeys.
Yeah.
I believe they're Tanari.
Tanari.
That's what
the expert.
I believe that's what the class of Balor is. I'm assuming they are too.
That makes sense why that's his minions.
Are.
Yeah.
There's two main groups of demons. There's Tanari and then there's Oberiths. And then Oberiths are like the more ancient ones. There's not a lot of those left. Tanari took over the big ones.
So yeah, we one of the first things we encountered in the Copper Halls were these invisible demon gorillas. We slayed a few of them. And from that point on, we were doing paths out of trace, sneaking around, knowing there's a bunch of invisible demon gorillas.
Yeah.
And so the entire time we're adventuring to those Copper Halls, we are like, guys, we got to take, like, we're not allowed. There are there are very least invisible Durgar who live underground, and an invisible demon monkeys. So
and when we left the first
pretty
time,
fucking scary in the Copper Halls.
We reported the Balor. We specifically did not mention the fucking Barlgura.
Not even kind of. We just mentioned there was a Balor. We didn't mention anything else.
None of that shit. Because we were like, it's not relevant. You can just walk around them.
Once again, we were so successful at avoiding this mortal, horrible peril that, like, we entirely forgot it existed. We didn't need to bring it up. Why would we bring it up? It didn't come up.
So anyway, we're in the middle of the field outside the dungeon. The Balor has come out and is fighting us and throwing fireballs.
Being a Balrog with
being a Balrog and shit. And we have ballistas and shit aimed at it.
All missing because they're assholes.
And all missing, obviously, because they're operated by commoners and shit, and he's a CR-19 Balor. And then mysteriously, on one end of our
right flank, in fact.
Our right flank, a bunch of gorillas start tearing ass through all of our peasants.
5, in fact.
And turns out they were there still.
Yeah, that was always a threat, always a peril.
Walking their monkey asses around.
And they did not have a ranger using Pass Without a Trace. They, in fact, had a bunch of ballistas making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
So that wasn't always going to happen, Tony, you idiot. Why didn't you think about this?
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah, that's just happening.
And during the fight, by the way, we're all but told, like, these ballistas will only hit on a 20. Like, that's the only way that they're hitting this Balor. It's a small target. These are commoner dudes using new technology, whatever. I'm playing a temporary character who's an artificer, and because I'm playing not my character, Brody has a rule where wherever you you want to play a different character, whatever, blah, 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 you're not the same level as your main character. You're at the lowest level that he has, like, allowable for the party. So I'm, like, 2 levels lower than everybody else. I'm doing nothing in terms of damage or, like, helpfulness. And I know that. But I also know that Artificer, besides, like, being, like, the thing that I thought would be cool at the time, they have a specific spell, Fairy Fire, available to them. Mm-hmm. And I was going to flavor it as a flare that you shoot at somebody and it makes them glow, you get advantage. Easier to farm for 20s for these ballistas.
The Karate and Overlords have that.
It is an 80-foot range spell. That is the range of it. Mm-hmm. And this Balor, at every point in the fight, it was like a 4-hour-long ordeal, stayed a minimum of 85 feet away from my artificer.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was one of the first times I had done D&D in like a grand battle kind of feature.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah.
He didn't use formations. So, like, I personally have thought about using like giant pogs as like formations. Like basically this is, instead of having 10 peasants, this is one pog that represents 10 peasants.
Right.
Just to simplify things. But like, I really enjoyed what Brody did there.
I think it's probably only possible on a virtual tabletop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking, man. VTT really opens up a lot of avenues. That's why I'm married to Foundry. But seeing like him, the Balor flying around, and us having to use like terrain, like just like we had Dick Dixon went like basically climbed up on the gate itself, so the Balor literally flew past him first. And why would he turn around?
Well, I was up in a little like
a nook. Yeah,
I was pretty close to it. And then it's like, but that's the secret strategy is. You'd be a space hippo ranger man who can be invisible in darkness with a longbow.
Good old
and that
Gloomstalker.
fucker can't get away from me.
Good old Gloomstalker.
Yes.
Certainly not limited by 80 feet.
I love that, like, you're literally Peter Potamus and you, like, step into a shadow and you're invisible.
Yeah.
Dude, it was great. Like, I was worried the whole time, like, because in 3.5, like, a basic thing that high-level fiends have is just, they just have true sight on at all times.
Why wouldn't they, man?
Right.
And
they're
so,
high-level fiends.
At any point, I was expecting it to just turn around and just to be pissed off that I kept hitting it.
Yeah.
Like, I was getting good rolls, so I was hitting it almost everywhere.
You did most of the damage to it, is my understanding.
Go full bloodthirster on your ass.
But I was worried it would just turn around and just be like, fireball, and then, because he was just hurling.
Dude, he was hugging him like nothing! Terrifying monster.
He killed easily, like, half the fucking, like, the actual forces killed were killed by him with fireball.
And we're trying to bring this thing down. The peasants are being massacred by a bunch of invisible gorillas. In the opening move, so we have two wizards. We have Frogbert, who was just Robert Frog.
Yeah.
Githyanki wizard. I think he's also playing Abjurationist.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have Elminer.
It's the best one in his
played by Austin. Love you, buddy.
Yep.
Also an Abjuration.
Also an Abjuration.
That's the best one.
Austin is a gem because he loves support. Him at his finest is him making everyone else shine, and I love people like that. We need more people like him.
Yeah.
Because he plays Abjurationist, and he plays... His build is really weird, but it's really flavorful. It's very cool, unique, and I like it. And he's a wizard, but he's more like a support. He's almost like a discipline priest, but like with mind bullets. And anyway, so like they both gas up Lang with haste and buffs and shit. So I'm like a little Black Knight bunny man with a great sword flying around, beating that shit around.
Doing Devil May Cry moves.
Doing Devil May Cry Dante shit. I every time I do my because I'm a Death Warlock, I have the aspect of dread, which basically lets me go like half
Devil
Lich.
Trigger.
Yeah, the Devil Trigger, half Lich. I get a bunch of temporary HP, and when I strike people, they have to make a check or be afraid of me and like speaking terror. And I use a voice changer to give myself like a demony voice. It's based off of Oswald from Odin Sphere, which if you haven't played, you should.
Spectacular game.
Spectacular game. One of my favorite JRPG of all time. So yeah, I'm doing.
Does it count as a JRPG?
I would say, yeah.
I would say more of an action RPG, but I suppose like
it is. But it's Japanese though.
Right.
Yeah.
But I feel
You know
part
what
of
I mean?
my brain thinks that JRPG has to be a certain thing,
and it doesn't. Though.
and it doesn't. So
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
though, because you're right. It is an RPG. It is an action game. It is an RPG.
Yeah.
But I as far as like,
Also, like,
if I told,
almost a Metroidvania.
it is.
it's its own unique.
It's honestly something that you don't really see anywhere else.
There is no game like it. It is a work of art.
Yeah.
The one of and that really stuck with me. Particularly when you were watching me do my last playthrough, Kevin, and you were when I was on the World Serpent.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm gonna try to avoid spoilers, but basically I was playing with Kevin, and like I had never gotten this far in the game in the original version, and I had just played Leaf Racer. By the way, you should play Leaf Racer. Don't play the original. The original is great, and I love it. It's hard, and it's from a bygone era. Just play Leaf Racer. Yeah. If you like fighting games, you'll like Leaf Racer. If you like Leaf Racer, you're a good person. Anyway.
It's superior in every design aspect.
And Kevin's watching me play it, and he's like in awe. Like, because typically he's always commenting, saying stuff. We're having this back and forth banter while I'm playing games. He's watching, and it's great. No, this game's demands your fucking respect.
Yeah.
And the only thing he said was, as I'm fighting, I'm doing this boss. The boss is the level. anytime you pull that off in a game, it's kind of cool, right? It's
fucking incredible.
The boss is the level, and he's just sitting here now being like, this game is a work of art.
Yeah.
Like, I don't say... Because Kevin doesn't play video games. He plays Pokemon. He breeds fight beasts. Yeah. He doesn't play video games. And he's watching this shit, and he's like, this is a fucking work of art. And I swelled with pride, because up until that point, I never told people this was my favorite game. Because, like, it's one of those hipster things where it's like...
You probably haven't heard of it.
You have not heard of it. You have not played it, and you have not heard of it.
Fucking 0% chance. Yeah.
I look like a fucking weirdo. But, like, after that point, I was like, well, now I feel emboldened to share this with people. Because, yes, this is a work of art. This is a masterpiece. By the way, Vanillaware also did Unicorn Overlord. You should check that out as well.
They also...
Great tier.
So, Odin Sphere, also, another thing that I really like about it is that, like... So, technically speaking, they make you play the game, like, 4 or 5 times. And it's not like they're different levels. They're basically the same levels with different characters that you're running through them. But they're telling different parts of the story at every time. And it was... incredible.
And they piece it all together at the end.
It all comes together
because when you play Valkyrie, which, by the way, Valkyrie...
Like Pulp Fiction, like, all of it comes together. These disparate stories.
When you play Valkyrie... And the story of Valkyrie is probably one of my favorite stories of all time. I have a picture of the Valkyrie, the daughter of Odin, on my wall. Mm-hmm. And it's such a beautiful story about, like, a woman trying to avenge her sister and trying to, like, earn her father's love that she always had, you know, one of those stories.
Yeah.
Like, I've lived that. I've lived the feelings of, like, my parents don't like me, I'm the third child. I have to do everything in my power to earn their love. And that was never a thing.
Right.
Like, and so I relate to Gwendolyn. I'm tearing up thinking about it. Anyway, and like this whole arc of her like going with Langley and Oswald. Oswald is based. Langley is based off
Langley,
Oswald.
Yeah.
100%.
His D&D Warlock is 100% based
100%
off of a combination between Oswald as a character and the Puka like appearance of like the
Cornelius.
That's what his name was. Thank you.
Yeah, the Puka Prince.
They have a great character design to begin with.
Love him to death. It really, that entire game has influenced me as a person.
Oh, yeah.
And that arc is so good, and one of the things I love about it is, I'll try to avoid spoilers, the last level of Valkyrie, you go into the underworld, and you're fighting in the underworld, and you fight like the Queen of Death, basically, and you save the day, and it's the opposite. It was the first time I'd ever seen the opposite, where the girl saves the boy. And I was like, that's so beautiful. And then, okay, the book closes. It's all taking place in a book. And then it's now over, and then you go to the lobby, and there's a second book down. And you're like, oh, what's this? And you pick it up, and it's the Puka Prince. And you're like, okay, what? And then, boom.
I thought the game was over.
Yeah, I thought the game was over. But, I mean, I knew it wasn't because they show the 5 characters. You play through all of them. So, okay, next story, next character. And you pick the book up, and you start in the underworld. And you wake up and you're like, I'm a rabbit man, what the fuck? Why am I a rabbit man? And then he picks up this fucking sword and then he carves his way out of hell. And instead of the last boss being the Queen of Hell, the first boss is the Queen of Hell. And it's mechanically the same, but simplified and then slowed down.
Yeah.
So, like, you know
because
what you're
it's
getting
supposed
into.
To be you learning the character, it's the first boss.
It's a complicated fight, but you just did it to beat the last thing, so you already know this champ, you got it.
Yeah.
Like, and I love that. I love that the first fight of the Puka Prince was just as fucking, almost as hard as what I was doing with Gwendolyn because I had none of the tools. But I knew the fight already, so it's like, you got this, champ. And so you carve your way out of hell, and then, boom, you are now playing a story that is taking place at a different point in time as Valkyrie. And your character encounters the other characters throughout this. And there's just this beautiful interplay of all these egos and stories colliding. And, beautiful. What the fuck are we... going back to D&D. Huge tangent. Apologize, chat. So Langley's over here doing some fucking epic anime shit. He goes, so when I do my Astic of Dread, it's based off of Oswald doing his shadow form thing for Odin Sphere. So I pop that. I'm full, like, shadow monster demon mode, death mode, like, flying around with all these buffs, with haste, fly, all this crazy shit, and I, like, anime battling the Baylord in the middle of the sky, and it's sick nasty, and, like, Dick Dixon's, like, shooting him from his little vantage point, the wizards are using their fucking, reactions to, like, absorb the damage of me getting fucking destroyed by the Baylor, and they're like using
war of fire.
Yeah, he's just searing me every fucking turn. I am dying horribly. Zoro is Zoro flying too, right? Did he fly too? Eventually, the Baylor lands and Zoro gets a bunch of licks on him, but I don't remember. Like I know the Baylor fucked him up.
It had landed to take out a ballista, and then Michael Father Edgar charged him.
Yeah.
And then so did Zoro. Zoro was already fucked up though.
Yeah.
He was super low health, so they both like got pretty messed up, and Zoro like he ended up booking it.
Yeah, because it was down to Langley. It was like everyone else was like, we can't take any.
Because then it just flew straight up.
Yeah.
It was just like fuck you, fireball.
Yeah, and then I could fly because they gassed me up, and then we didn't have a healer, by the way. That we were playing a really risky build. We had a lot of temp HP tanking going on, and
my tank was playing a character that I decided not to care about.
Yeah, God bless. And so like we're fighting the Baylor. I'm flying around and fighting him, and he just grabs my tiny bunny ass.
Yeah.
And he's really got me. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he's the size of a Balrog, and you're the size of a child.
Yeah, I'm a little guy. I'm a little guy with a greatsword.
Well, then it was just letting the aura of fire just slowly kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty anime. That's a pretty cool boss thing to do. I'm gonna hold you and let my heat sear you alive. That's pretty menacing, pretty evil. And then he was gonna do. We had brought up that it would be cool if he did like the super the drag thing, you know, where you're like dragging on the ground. So he flies
the
up.
Broly move.
Yeah, he flies up to smash my tiny bunny ass to the ground, flatten me into oblivion. Literally nothing we can do about it. Ryan's on the wall. We're hoping that something's gonna work out. Okay, well it's Dick Dixon's turn. Take the shot, man. Take the shot.
Yeah, I had to move like 5 to 10 feet forward. So it's like Dick Hippo Man just emerges from the shadows. Thunk thunk. And I think I got a crit or something.
You crit. That's what did it. That's what did it.
Yeah, then
that's why it was so spectacular. That's why I had to go the way it did.
And then you kill the Balor hit 0, and then we were like, "Oh yeah, that's
got him."
Wait,
and then I forgot they have death throws.
Yep.
Which is Balor's explode when they die.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
And
me and fucking Austin, like, who all the time we're just like commenting about because we know all the things.
They know all the lore from like 3.5.
Yeah, they're constant like glasses talks, glasses talks, glasses talks, glasses talks.
And then we're both just like, oh fuck, we forgot Balor's explode.
to Langley being.
How often do you fight a fucking Balor? Like
a tiny rabbit
first time
in the epicenter of the explosion. He could not be closer to it than fully within the grasp of the Balor. And he died. That was it. Instantaneous.
And that was the end of the saga of Prince Langley. And we are going to now talk about the beginning of the saga of Princess Yanis. Or rather, I should say Yanis, Warrior Princess.